Castillo teams up with Eartha Kitt to track down a cop killer on a strange and surreal episode of Miami Vice. After the full-tilt overblown chaos of the second season premiere, Miami Vice dials it back a notch for the second episode, which was directed by John Nicolella and written by Maurice Hurley. Two policemen are found shot execution style with their squad car filled with talismans relating to the pantheistic Afro-Caribbean religion Santeria. Acting on a tip from their informant Izzy, Crockett and Tubbs visit a known dealer named Rivera who might know something about the killings. As soon as Crockett and Tubbs identify themselves as cops, Rivera and his underlings panic and open fire on them. Backup arrives and Rivera and his crew are arrested. Though Rivera doesn't seem to be involved in the cop killings, a search of his home reveals a room filled with Santeria talismans. Crockett, Tubbs, and Castillo seek the advice of a Santeria priestess named Chata, played by the iconic Eartha Kitt, singer of Santa Baby and Catwoman on the final season of the 1960s Batman series. After Crockett and Tubbs leave, Castillo stays behind to consult with Chata. With a cop killer on the loose, he's worried the street cops will get trigger-happy and the city will explode into violence. Chata promises to search within Miami's Santeria community to find the killer. Before too long, as Castillo feared, a pair of jumpy cops get into a violent and unnecessary shootout with a pair of dudes in a Porsche who were driving along the beach checking out women in bikinis while blasting ZZ Top's sharp-dressed man. Suspecting the murdered cops may have been involved in something shady, Tubbs runs a credit check on them and finds that their finances mysteriously improved over the past couple of months. Crockett and Tubbs visit a bar where the slain cops were known to frequent to chat with their friends. And here we get an absurd yet wonderful moment because the entire 1980s supergroup Power Station is hanging out at the bar, waiting for their gig, and apparently they're good friends with Crockett and Tubbs. Who knew? At this point in 1985, the Power Station was comprised of John Taylor and Andy Taylor from Duran, Tony Thompson from Chic, and replacing Robert Palmer on vocals after Palmer left to jumpstart his solo career, musician and actor Michael Des-Barres. At that time, Michael Des-Barres was married to acclaimed memoirist Pamela Des-Barres, author of I'm With the Band, which is somewhere up there on that bookcase, and which, just FYI, is a magnificent source of gossip about Don Johnson, if anyone out there is interested in that. Pamela was involved in a long-term relationship with Johnson before he married Melanie Griffith for the first time, though all involved parties remained friendly afterward. Hence this unnecessary to the plot cameo in which Crockett and the luminously beautiful John Taylor exchange a couple of very simple lines of dialogue at the bar. As recounted in Pamela's memoir, Take Another Little Piece of My Heart, Taylor had been out late the night before and showed up late to the set and wasn't taking the whole thing seriously. And you can tell from the finished product that getting these couple of lines out of him was an ordeal for everyone involved, especially Johnson, who appears to be bursting out of his skin with frustration during this tiny, stupid, unnecessary little scene, which I love dearly and have watched on endless repeat a zillion times. The Power Station takes the stage to perform their 1985 hit, Get It On Bang a Gong. While that's happening, Crockett picks a fight with the associates of the slain cops by just full-on calling them dirty. A rousing brawl ensues, which culminates with Tubbs leaping off the bar to launch himself into the fray. Later, the corrupt cops harass Tubbs by trailing him around the city while Dark Knight by the Blasters plays. Chata lets Castillo know that a dealer named Ramon Morandez would like to talk to him, but only if his Orisha, his guiding Santeria deity, approves. Chata gives Castillo the address of Morandez's Babalocha, his priest. Castillo, clad in head-to-toe white instead of his usual skinny black suit and tie, has a surreal encounter with the Babalocha in a night garden filled with mist snakes and chairs on fire. Castillo passes some kind of unspoken test and meets with Morandez. Morandez tells Castillo that a dealer named Davia murdered the cops because the cops kidnapped his young son and held him for ransom. Morandez is played by Jose Angel Santana, who made the news a few years back for suing NYU, where he'd been a professor in the film school, after he'd been allegedly fired for giving James Franco a D in a directing class after Franco failed to show up for 12 out of 14 classes. In the meantime, Davia murders another of the corrupt cops involved in the kidnapping ring. His partner, Blakeney, played by Bruce McVitie, finds his partner and his partner's wife slain execution style and goes berserk. He ambushes Davia while the Vice Squad has Davia under surveillance. Davia is shot and killed after a messy shootout, but Blakeney manages to survive serious injuries while clutching a Santeria talisman that was left at the site of his partner's murder. In a zany subplot, Crockett's Ferrari is repossessed by an overzealous police department accountant who wants to auction it off. After some wacky twists and turns, Castillo pulls some strings, and Crockett gets his beloved car back. Someone with more knowledge on the subject than me could speak to whether this episode's depiction of Santeria is in any way authentic. My guess is that it's probably not very authentic at all. But in any case, the episode does a nice job of showing that Miami is a very complex and multi-layered place, capable of veering off into the surreal and borderline supernatural at any moment. So yeah, I'm giving out 4 flamingos for this one. Next time, I am going to be discussing one of the all-time great Miami Vice episodes, Out Where the Buses Don't Run. And if you're familiar with it, your mind immediately jumped to that absolutely devastating ending as soon as I said the title. I'm really looking forward to yammering on about that one, and I hope you'll join me. Until then, have a great week.